Hey, Christine.
Hi there.
How goes?
Oh, it goes. It goes. Um, woo. So I have been in a weird headspace today,
Okay.
and I'm not remembering if this was supposed to be for your podcast or my podcast.
This is for my podcast. I think you said your first episode was going to be with Jake, right?
Yes. Okay. I'm like, wow. Sorry, my brain is not all there right now. I just got off work like a little bit ago, and I'm still like unwinding from the stress of that. So, oh, anywho, hi, good to see you. Good to see your face.
Thanks. That brings up a point. Do you care if video is used in the podcast, or do you only want your voice to be used?
No, not at all. I don't mind at all. Everyone's gonna see me drinking White Claw, drinking
Nice.
the claw, with my 99 can, perhaps Blue Ribbon thing in the background.
I saw the making of that when you first got it or whatever.
Isn't it so great? It's the most ridiculous thing I've ever bought in my entire life.
It makes you happy.
I mean, I got it for Jake, and it made him very, very happy. He literally cuddled it on our living room floor. So that happened.
What is it? Is it just a bunch of cans put together?
It's literally not. It was 99 cans of Pabst Blue Ribbon. Like, this is 7 feet long. The most outrageous thing ever.
How did you find it?
So I had heard about it. I had heard about it through like a Twitter thing or like a Facebook thing. I don't remember. But they were like, oh, you can get 99 packs of Pabst Blue Ribbon. And I was like, no friggin' way. By the way, are cuss words allowed on your podcast, or
What's that?
are we allowed to cuss on your podcast or no?
Yeah, until I get 4,000 subscribers or whatever, you don't even have a chance of getting advertising. So they can't de-advertise me because I'm not eligible yet.
Okay. Well, I'm gonna still try to watch my mouth, but like an occasional F-bomb might.
You can say whatever you want. We are free.
Oh my gosh, it looks like you're inside my apartment complex. It's so funny.
I'm pretty sure, like, yeah, I'm not, but they all look the same.
It's not, but it looks the same. Welcome to Fullerton, where everybody's patio looks exactly the same.
I feel like there's a Cheers song there. Sometimes you want to go where everything looks exactly the same. I can't sing, and that's not the words, but
that's okay. It's kind of like the Cheers song, where you want to go where everybody knows your name, but where everything looks the same.
That was the idea, but the execution was bad.
It's a little off.
You should sing it. You do the song.
I can't, because I'm gonna be totally honest. I actually don't know the tune to the Cheers.
Oh,
I know. I'm a bad person.
It's okay. It was before your time. That was like the sitcom I grew up watching, like when I was about, I guess.
Oh wow. God, you're old.
I know. Thanks. But you're like next generation behind. So like, what's the sitcom you grew up watching, or is that a thing?
I mean, I watched like what sitcom did I watch?
When
Friends.
You were, like, between 8 and 12, yeah.
Friends. The sitcom. But I don't know. I watched cartoons and like, Full House. Full House was like one that's from the early days.
Well, yeah, that you like remember watching. Like, yeah.
And I can totally sing that.
Have you watched the reboot or the sequel or whatever?
Oh God, no, absolutely refuse. That's just because I like trash television and everything, but like, I don't like trash television reboots that are even like worse. Not my jam.
Gotcha.
So you're going on a walk in the neighborhood, and we're just like talking.
Yeah, my podcast is super informal, but it's got like 95 episodes or something. So
I kind of love it. Going on walks with Doug, little Douglas.
We used to do this in person. We used to just get together and like walk in the streets of Burbank at like midnight with like various comics or friends. But that can't be done anymore. So I'm liking the
I
idea of
cannot.
Zooming. Yeah.
Well, I like your little neighborhood where you're at right now. It's very cute.
Yeah.
It literally looks like my apartment complex, but like nicer.
I'm across the street from a Target, which was nice back in the before times when going to the grocery store was not like a life-threatening activity. It was like, hey, I'll just go across the street and get food or whatever.
But
Uh,
now, in the
yeah.
time of COVID,
Well, once upon a time when I lived in my office, it was very difficult to go anywhere without getting in my car.
wow.
Yeah.
No,
That was
do you remember that once? Do you remember that once upon a time when we lived together?
I do. It was a swimming pool. It was nice. I mean, there was all kinds of things that weren't, but I'm focusing on the good.
We're focusing on the positives.
Well, I'm sure you've got memories of it.
I mean, I mostly remember that we watched that one Superman show. What is that called? Oh my
Smallville.
gosh.
You and Nobby. I very rarely watched it, but you and Nobby watched it religiously.
Yeah, we created like a drinking game around it. And I remember not really seeing you much. Because you're not like the most social of creatures. Just
Well, we didn't get
putting that
along real
out
well
there.
then. I mean, we didn't get along real well then because you were always with Marissa, who I didn't get along with.
I mean, she's the worst. If you're listening to this, Marissa, you're still the worst.
But like when I lived at Neil's and you would come over, I thought we spent more time socializing.
Yeah, I mean, Neil's apartment was the main attraction for basically all of the early 2000s. We gotta be like real about that. But I used to come over there. I used to go over to his house on Thursday nights when I knew you guys had like game night. And I would just go there and eat all of Neil's ice cream, even though I wasn't allowed to like play games with you. I was never allowed to actually be a part of the gaming group. But I knew that you gamed on Thursdays. And so I would just go like show up. I'm like, oh, hey, forgot it was Thursdays. Sorry, guys. And
Yeah. I wasn't part of that gaming group either. I played like.
Well, those bastards, those mother truckers, like, I swear, they were so exclusionary in their Dungeons and Dragons. Like, they were elitist. They wouldn't let me play because I didn't know how, and they wouldn't teach me.
Well, I don't know if you still care, but I'm actually running a Pathfinder RPG virtually on Saturday nights. It's got like Jeff is playing, and then someone from St. Louis is playing, and someone from Georgia is playing.
Ask Jeff, because I'll tell you right now. Jeff used to run a game over at my house, and we did like 2 game sessions, and then it fell apart because I am basically a nightmare when it comes to like remembering shit. Like, oh yeah, it's Tuesday. I'm supposed to be gaming tonight.
Oh yeah, well, I see that with You Forgotten Our podcast. So like, you know.
How dare. How very fucking dare.
You need reminders, that's all. You got things going on. This is like the only thing I have on my social calendar all week. So, you know.
Listen, I am a barely functioning alcoholic, Doug, okay? And I need reminders occasionally. It's just how it is.
See, I don't want to bug you. You see, I'm like, oh, should I remind her? No, we said this, you know, it was, now I know to
you should absolutely bug me and absolutely remind me 100% of the time. But when it comes to games, I loved playing Pathfinder with Jeff, and Jeff will tell you straight up, I am a goblin in real life. Like, that is just who I am. Or not a goblin, a gnome, I'm sorry. Gnome.
Oh, the crazy fiddling with technology and just being kind of wild.
Just being completely insane and going off the walls with some bullshit.
And ideas, just all ideas, just spiraling, you know, and because in Pathfinder,
Jeff's game was we all woke up with amnesia, and didn't know like who we were or what our stories were. And so we just woke up in this room together with amnesia, and we had to like figure it out. But he knew where we were and who we were and like our, you know, general backgrounds. But we were kind of figuring it out as we went along. And oh my God, it was so much fun. And we would just go on tangents, which he would always be really amused by, because I was generally the ringleader when it comes to just going on fucking tangents. I'm like, oh, I want to ride one of those little weird raptor things that are out there. I'm gonna tame one and make my pet, and that's like my goal in this game.
You definitely. Well, I'm sending you an invite. It's a bad time. It's Saturday at 7 p.m. But that kind of made things work for the people in Georgia and St. Louis.
Weekends are generally bad. Weekends are generally bad for me, just because that's the only time I ever get to see Jake.
Yeah.
Because that's his days off, and he works nights, and I work days, and so it's just kind of like that's the only days we ever have with each other. Like I literally haven't seen him in 2 weeks, like at all.
Yeah,
except for on the weekend.
I'm also running a game night on Thursdays from 7:30 to 8:30.
I could do Thursdays. I just need a reminder, as discussed.
All right, I will send you an invite and a reminder, because we play Dixit and Code Names. I don't know if you ever played those two games.
Oh,
no, we all
yeah, I love Code Games, man. I love Code Names. I love that game. So
that
good.
was last week, and I blundered. I was trying to get my team to get penguins and pole, and so I was like Arctic, and my team, my girlfriend Rachel and Goldie, this comic who hosts and co-produces a comedy show with me, they started talking back and forth, and they're like, it could be penguins, but penguins are only found in the Antarctic, not the Arctic Circle. And they talked themselves out of penguins. And I'm like, I know, but Arctic is an adjective. And I didn't know if Antarctic at the time was an adjective. I didn't want to use that word if it wasn't a word.
It's not an adjective. It is a noun.
No, I looked it up.
A place.
No, not Antarctica, Antarctic.
Whatever.
I didn't know. I'm telling you, I didn't know it was a word.
But you don't call it like, oh, we have Antarctic conditions. We say we have Arctic conditions.
It's a word. I looked it up.
Antarctic?
I didn't know it was a word, so I didn't use it because I didn't know. But now I know. Anyway, wow. My team got misled, and they were upset with me for like not knowing.
Well, you know what? You were 3 letters off. They can suck it. They can suck it. That's my opinions. I have opinions, Doug.
I know you do. That's why I want your podcast. So when is your first episode of your podcast starting?
So we are going to be hopefully interviewing our first podcast guest, my fiance, this weekend. Or no, not this weekend, next weekend. Because this weekend I'm going camping in the Kern, which everybody that's going camping at the Kern had to like take a COVID test before they like can go. So that was an interesting little addition to like life. So yeah, I just got my, I get tested every 2 weeks for work regardless. So I just came back negative as of today. So I'm gonna be like, I'm good. I don't have the Rona. As of yesterday anyway. So when I took my test, I didn't have it.
Well, I got tested when I donated blood, and I'm almost time for me to donate blood again. Did you ever go and donate? We were talking about going together, and then schedules didn't work out.
I did go, but I went in like at the very beginning of this month. I went, and that was just kind of by accident. Like I was just like, oh yeah, that's the thing I should do, because there was like this van that was kind of parked, and I was like, oh, I'm just gonna do that real quick. I was on my way home from somewhere, and I was like, yeah, I'm just gonna do that. So I just pulled over and because they had those like mobile blood drive vans or whatever.
Yeah, but normally before in the before times you could just show up
before
randomly.
Times.
Yeah, that's what I call it.
Make an appointment, right? But
yeah,
I was like out front of some health center, and they just had one of those van things. And I was just on my way home from somewhere, and I think I was on my way home from my interview.
Oh wow! So you're like, I need some positive karma. I'm gonna do something good.
Right.
Donate some blood.
Gonna put that out into the universe. But I think I was on my way home from my interview, so it had to have been late July, actually.
I would totally do that when I was in law school at San Francisco. I would totally go to Oakland Red Cross Center and donate, like after I'd taken my exams before the grades came out.
That is so smart. Put that energy out in the universe. Very smart. Very smart.
I mean, I'm not superstitious, but I'm like, hey, it can't hurt.
You know what? Karmic energy. I mean, I'm not saying that I believe in karma, but I do believe in karma. So I am saying that. I am saying that.
You are saying you believe in that.
So I'm not saying that I believe it, but I'm saying that I do. Anyway.
But like, just because yeah, go on. Oh, I was going to go back to your podcast. It's like, you can film episodes out of order, you know? Like, I know you want Jake to be the first episode, but you could actually record like 5 episodes before you interview him and then just wait and then upload them all at once.
No, I totally can. You're absolutely correct. But Jake is kind of my like test subject because, so for anybody listening, I guess, I will talk about what my podcast is about. So I want to talk to people about the P word, which is privilege. And I want to talk to people about what that looks like and what that means to them, like personally, and how they believe that the privileges that they have or don't have affect their everyday life. And that's the thing that really interests me and I want to talk to people about. And so Jake is one of the most privileged people that I've ever met, but he is also a person that probably wouldn't describe himself that way because he thinks of privilege as like kind of a bad word, like it's a cuss word, it's an insult. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so I wanted to talk to him, who I believe is one of the most privileged people ever that I've met, and talk to him about why it is that he wouldn't describe himself as privileged, and why, and just kind of dive into the areas in which at least I personally perceive him as being privileged and what his definition of privilege is. And like, let's talk about that. You know?
No, I think it's a really cool idea for a podcast. Are you planning on putting up on YouTube or on Libsyn, Libsyn?
So probably not YouTube, because I don't want to do video, because I think that these conversations are going to be really, really deep and really like emotional and really like there's the possibility of backlash in people's personal lives. So I'm not sure, like, these are also reasons that I kind of want to like iron things out, is where do I want to post? What do I want to, like, what audience do I want to reach? How can I reach that audience? And so on and so forth. So I'm kind of like doing a little bit more research and trying to figure out like how I want to go about this.
Yeah.
As well as get those interviews in. But it feels like if I get these interviews in before I really have like a structure of how I want to do this, then I'm just kind of jumping the shark, you know?
Well, I'm a big fan of figuring it out as you go, but my product isn't always the finest. But it's out there. So I think that's, you know, a job half-assed is better than a job half-done.
You're very right. And I should take that.
Well, if perfectionism is great, like, I don't think it's perfectionism, but if it leads to you not producing anything, then I'm like,
right.
Well, if something is awesome but it doesn't exist, it's not really better than something that does exist. At least that's being seen, being heard.
That's so true. And you're so right. Like, I can't let like the perfect be the enemy of the good, and like the good enough. Good enough is And you know, it's funny because Jake would 100% say the same exact thing. Because he tells our nephew all the time, like, what do we say, Dillinger? Good enough is better than nothing. And you're right. So like, I don't want to put it on YouTube though, because I feel like video is just not. But if
No,
you
but
know what,
you can also put up as audio
put
only.
like a background and just do audio, like that's
Right,
better
yeah.
than. You're right. You're right.
No, just an idea. It's not right or wrong. I'm saying you can put audio only on YouTube as long as you put some kind of image along with the thing.
Right.
And but like.
But I would be very. I'm not gonna lie. I'd be very tempted to just put a bunch of like P-word puns. Like, the P word is positively dripping with nuance.
I love it. I think you should.
Your P word, it's juicy. Okay, it's juicy. It's moist.
WAP word.
Yeah, exactly. But like, what is your, want to dive into your P word?
I want this thing to exist so much. Like, I want to promote it. I want to post it on my Facebook profile and retweet it. Are you on the Twitter?
I am on the Twitter. It's C Larsen, CLARSEN 007. That's my Twitter handle. I don't know why I continue to use 007 as a thing that is part of my online identity, but I do. Like, I pretend like I'm like this secret agent. I'm so not. I don't know if you know me, Doug, but I am not the dark side of the moon, mysterious. I am the brilliant dayfire of the sun.
I don't know. I always think of you as enigmatic. That's like the
really?
word that leads to mind. No, not at all.
I'm like, what? Makes no damn sense at all.
But yeah, no, I was kind of, I guess the first 10 episodes of my Theater School Rejects podcast was with Phantom. And then we did the show and he was performed in it. And I was like all excited. I know and I'm not talking about Phantom's issues and whatnot, but just.
We don't have to get into that.
But we did this thing. It was like pretty cool. And I'm like, hey. And then he's like, yeah, I did some comedy. I did really well at it. I don't want to ever do it again because I did well at it. And I'm like, that's not how it works.
Right? That makes no sense.
Yeah, I know. But totally in character. So anyway, and then I started doing with just other comedians. And
right.
And again, not a whole lot of listeners, but originally I put it up on Libsyn, but that costs like $20 a month. And I'm like, I don't need to pay $20 a month for no listeners. I can put it up on YouTube and have no listeners for free.
I can have no listeners for free. But your Amazon books have been like the marketing that you're paying for with Amazon books like paying off for you? Because
I was selling $80 worth of stuff on Amazon and Kindle and Audible, and I was spending $200, so I was losing about $120 every month. But at the same time, people were actually reading my books and listening to the audiobooks. So, and I was advertising in the UK as well as the US. And I was like, maybe I can be like unknown in the US, but like really big in the UK, like Hasselhoff in Germany,
I always get really excited when you're like, hey, somebody in blah, blah, blah country read my book.
I think it's amazing. I mean, like, I know it's kind of common, but I'm like, somebody, across the ocean read something I wrote and possibly is influenced by it.
Yeah, and I think that's wonderful. I think that one of the things I most admire about you is that you definitely just like put yourself out there. You are like so fucking fearless, and I love that. Like, I know that you consider yourself somebody that's like, I definitely have a lot of fear. What are you talking about? But you don't let that control you, and you don't let that control your decisions, and you just go for what you want. And I appreciate that and admire that about you a lot. I think it's really great.
Well, it's within certain spaces. Like,
no, within all spaces.
No, but I mean, like, I'm terrified of writing a cover letter. Like, I can write a novel and be like, I got a novel. I'm like, but to send to a publisher, I need a cover letter. I have no idea how to do a cover letter, and so I just don't send books to publishers. I'm like, I'll just
And
publish them
the
myself.
reason that you don't know, the reason you don't know how to do a cover letter is because you don't know how to brag about yourself. That's literally what it is. 100% what it is.
But I'm just
And
saying,
it's
like,
not that you have a fear of bragging about yourself. It's just not something you're used to. It's not something that you're like, you don't think of yourself as accomplished. You don't think of yourself in that way. And so it's really hard for you to like brag about yourself and to like be like, hey, I'm fucking awesome.
no, I'm just kind of stressed like which things cause panic. Like writing a cover letter, panic. Putting my book on Amazon that millions of people can see it and judge it, no panic, totally okay. Or like going and doing stand-up comedy in front of an audience, no panic. Well, not much of one. Calling up a club or a bar and saying, hey, can I just perform randomly at someplace? Panic, 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 panic. So like, you know,
And, you know, to me, the common denominator there is really like, I'm going to have to sell myself and I don't like it.
Yeah, 100%.
And so really the common denominator is that you don't know how to sell yourself. You don't know how to talk yourself up and be like, I'm fucking awesome. And here's why you should want me at your club. And here's why you should want to write my book or publish my book. Like, Douglas, you're awesome. Deal with it.
It is my middle name.
Deal with it. You're great. And like figure out how to talk about that. If you can figure out how to talk about like dead babies in your comedy, I mean, I don't know. I'm just like saying, if you can figure out how to if you can figure out how to stand up in front of a crowd and basically be super ridiculously vulnerable with all of your like probably worst traits, I feel like you absolutely can put on paper all of your best traits.
You think
you can
so?
do it, man. I'm cheering for you.
I'm just explaining that like I think everybody has nobody's brave everywhere. Like Indiana Jones hated snakes, you know? Everybody's got the thing that causes them panic attacks. And
bravery is not the absence of fear. Like who fucking said that? Like I can't remember who the fuck said that. But bravery is not the absence of fear. Bravery is saying, you know what, I'm gonna do it anyways. And I wouldn't necessarily say that you are brave. I would say that you are, what's the word I'm looking for? Tenacious. And when you want something, you go for it.
That's true. You know,
and that's that is an admirable trait.
Thanks. I mean,
you're welcome.
I blush. Not literally, because my circulation is bad, but I do blush.
No.
But I'm super on board with you doing your podcast. I like you that you're putting yourself out there. I'm always similarly encouraging you to put yourself out there more.
And I don't do that. And it's funny because like I would definitely consider myself to be the more gregarious one of the two of us. And so, but I'm also not as determined and driven as you are to say, screw you world, I'm going to do what I want and say what I want and make whatever I imagine in my head a reality. I'm going to do it. And I'm a dreamer, not a doer.
Well, but do you want to be? I mean, like, it all depends on what you want. Like, some people don't need to, like, produce to, like, be at war with non-existence.
Right.
What I do.
But I will definitely 100%, like, doggedly pursue something that I feel really, really passionate about. But it takes a lot to get me to that point. So what took me to that point last time that I got really tenacious and crazy was there's this wasteland group called the Dukes of the Nuke, and I'm basically obsessed with them. All of them are ridiculously good looking, and I love them and have a crush on them so hard. So I don't know whoever's listening, if anyone, Wasteland is Wasteland Weekend. I encourage you to go look it up on the internet, wastelandweekend.com. It's basically Mad Max meets Burning Man meets Renaissance Fair, and it's fucking great. So I do that thing, and
No. I had a really good line about, because they canceled Wasteland Weekend this year, and I had a really good line about it. I was like,
when the actual apocalypse cancels the fake apocalypse.
well, I said the apocalypse weekend is canceled because of the end of the world, but yes.
Because of the apocalypse, yeah. Like, sorry, your fake apocalypse is canceled because the real apocalypse is like happening right now.
But yeah, so you're obsessed with these people who are ridiculously good looking and cool. So okay.
Yeah, so I'm obsessed with them. They're very good looking. They're very cool. They're very fun. They're some of my closest friends, and I adore them so much. And so I wanted to do a like boudoir calendar of them, and I became like very fixated on that idea, and I made that happen. And like I got the photographer together, I got their costuming, I got their makeup, I got like a location, I got everything like set up and did it and made that calendar happen. And it was a fundraiser for their group and for their like their little, you know, Wasteland faction or whatever. And I made it happen because I wanted to see them mostly naked, and that was literally what excited me. I just wanted to see them all mostly naked in a calendar.
That's a fair drive. You know, you knew what you wanted and you went after it.
Right, I knew what I wanted. I went after it and I did it, and I there was follow through. And so
you were driven to see them half naked, and you did, and now you're driven to dive into the P word.
Right, I want to dive into people's P words, man. Just want to dive right in, just like.
Still on brand. Still in the theme.
Still in the P word, baby.
Well, I think it's gonna be really cool. I'm really looking forward to you making it, and then like, you know, tweeting about it. And
well, if you want to do another one of these little walkarounds, which I'm really enjoying, like watching just you kind of waltz around. Is this also like your excuse to just get exercise?
When the sun sets, I try and go for a walk because it's slightly cooler, and then and I get to combine it. Like I walk during my game night, I walk during the comedy show, I walk during apparently now my podcast. So
okay,
yeah.
I feel like it's partly an excuse to get some exercise in, and partly just like I just don't want to sit down in my kitchen with my 99 pack of Pabst Blue Ribbon and talk to people.
I like talking to people more when I'm walking. Like I like to combine activities.
That makes sense. That makes total sense for you.
I would totally be walking if I wasn't talking to you, but it's better to be talking to you, and talking to you and making a podcast, which I'm going to put up on YouTube, is even better.
Well, I'm glad that I could make your podcast a little more enjoyable.
Yeah, I will hit you up for more episodes of these, and then when you want to do your episode with me of your podcast, and I can talk about.
I'm very excited to like ride your P word, boo. I'm really pumped on it. Like I'm gonna pump that P word like it's a P word. You know what I'm saying?
Well, my plan after this is to go head up to LA because there's a protest starting at 9 p.m.
Oh dang! Well, you know, don't get tear gassed, or do. You know, your choice.
I don't know what's gonna be, but like it's apparently in response, obviously, to what happened in Kenosha.
Ugh.
And I don't know.
I also love how like involved you are in just everything. You care about things that are not yourself. Good for you.
Well, you know, there's not a lot of self for me to be self-involved with. You know, I got no social life. I got no girlfriend. I might as well care about politics.
You're like, look, there's not a lot of me to care about. So like, I love you and I think you're wonderful. And I'm so glad that we're friends. I'm glad that we did this. It was really nice chatting with you.
Nice chatting with you. I'll hit you up to do this again. Talk to you soon.
Okay. Yes. I'm gonna set another thing up after we've gotten after I've gotten my first podcast up and running. I'm gonna just do the Doug method of good enough is better than nothing.
Well, because you can also get better. Like your first episode might not be great, but you're going to learn a lot from doing it and the process of uploading it and finding a place to put it up.
You're right.
And you're like, oh, I did mistakes 1 through 5. If I can fix one of those 5 mistakes, it'll be better.
Then right, gosh, I really like that philosophy. Actually, okay, I made like 10 mistakes. If I can fix one of them, it's better. That's how I live my life. It's actually really, really inspirational in a weird way.
Better living through failure. That's my motto.
I love that, and I think that should be the title of your memoirs.
I will be. It absolutely will be. Good night.
Good night. It was really good to talk to you. Mwah. Bye.